Welcome back to another episode of the Guys Telling Stories podcast. I'm Rich Douglas.
I am Bill Easton.
And guys, we are just thankful to have you back for another great episode.
Yes, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of our show.
Yeah, I think we were getting some emails from some new listeners. It looks like we got a bunch of new likes on Facebook.
Yep.
So if you're new to the show, I want to encourage you to go back, listen to some of the old episodes, catch up. We had a great episode with Jason and Dave from Rusty Nickel Brewing Company. They're two guys starting a brewery.
I still like Russell. Russell just talks and talks.
We got a great episode with Russell Salvatore. Been in the restaurant business over 80 years. He's given his fortune away to charity. Go check that one out as well. Thank you to everybody who helped us get on those iTunes charts. We did hit number one on the arts, the business.
Yep.
And we got some confirmation that we were indeed on the feature page for about a day.
Somebody sent us a link to it.
A little screenshot. Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for that. That's cool.
Yeah, so, what's helping us do that, especially if you're new to the podcast, are those reviews. So let's keep them coming.
Yep. If you're on iTunes, there's a spot where you can rate it, give it 5 stars, and then write a little review. Some of the reviews are pretty entertaining.
They really are. We're gonna kind of go through and just acknowledge some of the people that are making us laugh. But the easiest way, especially if you haven't written one yet, is just go to guystellingstories.com/review. That's guystellingstories.com/review. That'll take you right where you need to go. 5 stars. Write a review if you want to make us laugh or just tell us that you're liking the show. Either way, it's much appreciated. So you got one for us, Bill?
I do. It is The One True Goodman.
The One True Goodman.
The One True Goodman.
I got it.
Life-changing is the title.
Okay.
Life-changing. And he writes, as can be seen by the title, the show is truly life-changing.
We had a couple out in Long Island drop us an email, Mr. and Mrs. Lamagswag, and they said they were going to write reviews to make us laugh on purpose.
Oh, good.
And they said, please, if you don't mind, give us a shout out on the show. So Mr. and Mrs. Lamagswag, thank you. It looks like they each wrote their own, and it looks like little Lamagswag, little baby Lamagswag might have written one too.
It's hard to say.
It is hard to say. But we got 3 reviews from one family. That's great.
That's cool. I hope the One True Goodman is from West Virginia, because I haven't heard much from my college, my state down there. So hopefully,
I hate to break it to you, I'm pretty sure the One True Goodman is from my college, not yours.
Oh yeah, you know who this guy is?
Thank you to the One True Goodman and all your Mountaineer fans. Let's get on the link, guystellingstories.com/reviews, and let's get a review. So, all right, Bill, our guest for today.
Yes.
Is somebody that was recommended to us. I went and did a little research, and it's great because we have had people that are starting their own business. Mm-hmm. We've had entertainers, some behind-the-scenes folks, and our guest today is a world-renowned zoologist.
That is super cool, and I'm excited to hear that we are not going to his place of employment.
Well, he did invite us to his animal sanctuary, but for those of you listening, Bill is allergic to pretty much all animals.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so he agreed to meet us at his restaurant. He is an entrepreneur as well as an animal expert. He is also a television host. You can see him all the time on Rachael Ray. He's a guest.
Last week, I think he was.
Yeah,
he was on.
Our guest is Jarod Miller, and Jarod Miller is probably lived a lifetime of jobs, careers, experiences, traveled all over the world, and he's not stopping. He's not stopping at all.
Nope.
He is somebody that has been on Conan. He's been on The Tonight Show. He has been the director of a zoo, Binghamton Zoo, when he was 25 years old.
That's amazing.
Yeah. He had his own syndicated television show, Animal Exploration with Jarod Miller, of course. You can still see that on YouTube. It's on ABC all the time. Well, he's also into some real estate development, and he is a small business owner. We're going to meet him today. We're going to sit down. We're going to hear his story, and we're going to ask him what he's up to outside of the animal kingdom, if you will. One of his business partners, Jen Keppard, hopefully she'll join us towards the end, and we'll sit down and hear about how they're developing some buildings.
Yeah, she's part of the development and the bar. So that would be good to hear from her too. Want to include her.
Yeah, so let's not head to the animal sanctuary, Bill. You're safe. Let's head to Jared's place and let's hear a story.
Let's go.
Jarod Miller, welcome to the show.
Hey, welcome, Jarod.
Hey, thank you, guys. You guys ready to hear and tell some stories?
Hi, that's what this is called, guys telling stories. That's what it's all
Jump
about.
right in. Don't worry about anything.
Off mic, we were just talking about how you are a small business owner. In addition to being a pet expert, a zoologist, you have some exciting things happening. If you want to kind of jump right into that.
Sure. Half of my life, or the majority of my life, I work, outside of Western New York. It's just a career path that I decided to choose, and it was something that was pretty innate. When I was a kid, I just had this uncontrollable fascination for science and nature, and especially animals and wildlife. And I just remember being like, some of my earliest memories were, just wanting to learn as much about animals as possible, and really all our family vacations were, traveling to many zoos across the country. Any type of wildlife I could get close to, the better. And and I grew up. Both my parents worked, so I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, who they had a beautiful place, which they still do, out with acres of woods and fields. And so I kind of grew up as naturalistic as possible. A lot of people ask me, how'd you get your job? And I go, well, to tell you the truth, I never really got a job. I just created
You absolutely did.
Kind of created. So I took a lot of passions. Obviously I've just always loved animals, but I also was just very interested in a lot of different things. I love television production. I love broadcasting. I love even business development and business ownership. So a lot of those areas of my interest in I guess my personality, I've kind of been able to kind of found my life path of bringing all those kind of disciplines together and all those interests together into, kind of a neat little lifestyle, I would say.
Yeah, Bill and I have talked to quite a few different people throughout this season, and some of the people have started businesses a little bit later in life, but it sounds like you're one of the few that got started right away. Like you said, it was innate. So maybe take us to like you're maybe 18, 22. Most people are headed off away from mom and dad for the first time.
Right.
And they're trying to somehow figure out their place in the world. It sounds like you kind of had a pretty good idea what you wanted to do.
Yeah, it was really weird. I did have kind of this tunnel vision from a young kid. And I started out, obviously, with, as everyone else does, my first exposure to animals, we had dogs and cats and birds and ferrets and then the wild animals, I'd go and see how close I could get to, turtles and raccoons, and I remember being like 4 years old and actually standing out in the middle of a field and trying to pretend to be like a big salt lick and waiting for deer to come up, and actually
they would
exactly
come why
up. Yeah.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
I tried the same thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the audience knows, but Bill he's allergic to animals.
Probably allergic to Jarod.
Yeah, you might be. It might be my sweater. But what's so funny, Bill, I know the thing, because I was, and I still am to this day, terribly allergic to animals. Like cats. Wow. Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember even house cats. I get rabbits, all these animals that I, even as a kid worked with on a daily basis, I was super allergic to, but I just barreled through it. And I remember every first day of school photo, like my eyes were all puffy and I'm sneezing, and it's like, I had the seasonal allergies in addition to having a cat under my arm or a dog or something like that. But yeah, even to this day, I remember just even a couple years ago, we were doing a speech down in Nashville, and we had they had organized a little private plane. We brought a tiger cub with us. And so for about 4 hours, I sat with this tiger cub in my lap, and I didn't know that I'm severely allergic to tigers. And my skin, for almost 2 weeks, I had this rash, and I had to take the all types of medication to get over it. But I guess it's a workplace hazard. Among the other aspects of working with wildlife.
There's a lot of obstacles to overcome when you're dealing with animals, because there's probably a certain sense of unpredictable, I guess, just every time you walk into a situation. But, what I was wondering about is, if I could go back and be 13 and learn how to play the piano, I could be an amazing musician.
Yeah.
But most people, if they take something like that, like an idea, like a 13-year-old wants to be a creative writer, they want to be a guitarist, they want to be in a band, people kind of make fun of them for it. People kind of say like, oh, you're never going to amount to much. When you were first starting out, maybe it was the early years, like, you already had some maybe credentials under your belt. Was there any obstacles that you came across right away? Maybe naysayers, people saying,
absolutely. I think, what's funny is the biggest conversion has been, really to start with my family. I have a very great and very supportive family, but when you want to go into working with wild animals and actually have them, on your property and rescue. I remember a story when I was probably 5 or 6 years old. And I was traveling with my mom, and we had you smelled it first. We saw a dead skunk on the side of the road, out in Eden,
right?
And I thought to myself, oh, we should stop and check out. Maybe there's some babies around. And sure enough, we found 4 little baby skunks that were in the bushes, kind of near the mom, because it was springtime. So I convinced my mom at the time to rescue them. So I had to
rescue the skunks.
And these guys were tiny. They're literally the size of like guinea pigs. They were these tiny little skunks.
Yeah.
And at the time I knew better, but I had to convince my mom by saying, hey, they're not old enough to spray yet, even though I knew very well that they could.
Oh my God.
And we took them and we put her in the back of her car, and we made it from Eden to Boston, about a 20-minute drive. They made it all the way to the driveway, and then something spooked them, and all 4 of them went off in the back seat of my mom's car. And really, she had to give the car away. There was no getting that smell out when all these babies. But but I was able to take them out, and I let them loose in the yard. I gave them some food, protected them a little bit, and they went on with their own lives. But that smell lingered longer than the skunks did. I mean, that smell was probably in that car
that concludes
until the
our
day she gave it away.
episode.
Yeah, sorry. I just grossed out your.
No, that is one of the best skunk stories. I haven't told this one on air, but my wife and I went to a very nice play. We're all dressed up, and it's the middle of last winter. And we come home, and we just let the dog out into a fenced backyard and let him run around. There's motion lights. Well, all of a sudden, we hear the barking, and then like a screeching. And I run outside, and I see he is kind of moonwalking, rubbing each eye on the ground, back and forth, and you just immediately smell that something happened. And there's no sign of a skunk, but we immediately were wondering, oh no.
Yep.
There's no getting that smell out.
No.
What are we going to do? So, we start Googling, hey, maybe we got to get tomato juice, right? We heard that online somewhere.
Yeah, neutralize the smell somehow.
Something.
Yeah.
We run to all the stores are closed. It's like late on, I think we went on like a Sunday matinee. So we got baking soda, I think. Someone said vinegar, some Blue Dawn dish detergent.
Yeah, that works well. Yeah.
Okay, so, this poor guy, we're like trying to massage his eyes, and you could just tell it's like oily. And he was miserable for at least a couple days, and he had to sleep in the garage that day, which is attached to the house, so he was safe and warm. But I got to say, it probably took a year for that one spot to not smell again. So I understand how your mom had to give away her car.
Oh, yeah. Is that unbelievable?
Yeah.
So, obviously, your family encouraged you and put up with you.
Yeah, more putting up with me is the right word.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Who else helped encourage you, especially like when you decide that I am going to do this children's thing? This is going to be my life. Who else was there supporting that and got you into doing your what you do now?
That's a fantastic question. There's a lot of people, really. I mean, when I was a kid, I loved that show Wild Kingdom, which was on. Ran from like 1969 all the way into the 80s, and I love Marlon Perkins, who was the host of it. He's a zoo director, and he hosted this great show. And his assistant Jim Fowler. I was about 16 years old. I met him and started working behind the scenes a little bit with Mutual of Omaha. So that was probably one of my first starts. And then afterwards, I started working with a guy, Jack Hanna, who.
I've heard of him.
You'd recognize Jack. He's he's director of the Columbus Zoo in Ohio, and again, he was a zoo director. I always wanted to be a zoo director, and I always wanted to host a TV show. So I was lucky enough to kind of be around these people, and they would hire me, and even Jack. I moved down to Columbus. I lived in his house and took care. Worked at the zoo, and then started working in TV.
How many animals do you have at his house?
Well, he didn't have much at his house. He had a giant English Mastiff. He had a golden retriever and a cat. But then I had some of my animals too. So he was all for it. Like I had a spider monkey that I brought with me that lived at the house, and actually the keepers from the zoo came out and built a nice enclosure for us, and the monkey was there as well. But the Columbus Zoo, much like the Buffalo Zoo, which I spent my entire childhood going to, was just this, it's the largest and best zoo in the country. I mean, it's unbelievable how zoos now have, from what they were 20, even 15 years ago to what they are now, they're just, instead of the stamp collection of all these animals in cages, they're like these just wonderful places where people can experience wildlife, see cool exhibitry, see animals they would never see and learn about. And what's amazing about zoos, and this is why I've always loved zoos, is that more people visit zoos than all major sporting events combined. So more than football, hockey, baseball, the attendance at zoos is number one recreation activity.
That is an interesting fact.
Is that an interesting fact? Yeah. Then I was working for the Columbus Zoo while I was in college, and I was going to college in upstate New York in Oswego, and they had a great zoology program. And then what was great as well is when you talk about influences, I had a great bunch of professors. My advisor was phenomenal, and they let me do a lot of independent studies. So I was able to, travel, do my things. And at that time, I started working on Late Night with Conan O'Brien as well, and started my relationship with the network shows. And it just all kind of worked. I just worked all the time. I traveled all the time, and I just tried to get it all done. And had my animals here in Buffalo, and went to Columbus in the summer to work down at the zoo. And I take a chemistry exam at Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, jump on a plane, be in LA, do the Tonight Show, be back the next day and go out drinking with my friends and, hey, let's watch the Tonight Show.
What a regular life.
Yeah, it was pretty wild stuff. So
for some people that we've been talking to, Bill, they have a no turning back moment, and it might be just taking out that loan for a small business, sure. And for other people, it might be quitting that full-time job to do what they love.
Right.
For you, what's it like in terms of a no turning back moment when you are doing Late Night with Conan O'Brien or The Tonight Show or Good Morning America or Rachael Ray? Yeah. You have people that are listening that go, this guy, he's on the show I watch in bed when I'm nudging my wife going, hey, Conan's coming on. What's that like in terms of, I guess, reflecting on that moment?
I believe it or not, I guess I really, the best point, I enjoy doing it. I love, the creativity. I mean, you're around some of the most brilliant people in the world, especially, back in the day. I mean, you couldn't get much cutting edge than Conan, back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And, and doing the Today Show and doing all this stuff. And, I mean, it's great. But to tell you the truth, I never really think about watching it. I never think about it airing. I just like doing it, and if it air, I could do this stuff and it could just never air, and I'd be perfectly fine with it. In some ways, they're good and better.
That's a cool job.
So I kind of did that, but and then when I started producing and hosting my own series, then I'm kind of like, then I'm a little more reflective on it. I'm like, I really want the messaging to be right. I really want it to be great TV. I really, I'm not looking for an Emmy. I'm not looking for this. I'm just looking for I love those emails from kids, all excited about something they saw on a show, or and a funny story is, you mentioned about, this is a show that I watched this guy before I went to bed. I love it when, buddies of mine, they'll be like, Saturday morning, 7 o'clock, I'm here with my wife or my girlfriend. All of a sudden, your voice pops up on the TV because we left Channel 29 on, and I'm like...
It woke me up at 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
I want to ask you more about your show, but first, I had to look you up because I'm not a big animal guy, as I'm sure you've heard.
Yeah.
But I want you to explain this picture that's on there.
Okay.
It looks like an elephant. It looks like you are wrestling an elephant.
Yeah, I was wrestling. That is a 9,000-pound African elephant, and her name is Bubbles. And Bubbles belongs to a friend of mine that has a conservation park down in South Carolina. And Bubbles came from Africa. Believe it or not, back in the day when they would do these, elephants are very endangered species. They're the largest land animal on Earth, so they require a lot of space. And Bubbles was a refugee from a poaching situation, and she was brought here back in probably in the 70s by a friend of mine, who he actually raised her right in the house. And that is the nicest. That elephant is a dog. It's a 9,000-pound, brilliant dog. Nice. And she's so friendly, and she's great. And that's actually down in the intercoastal, down in South near Myrtle Beach. And Bubbles' favorite activity is to go swimming and actually wrestle with people in the water.
Yeah.
And it's a little intimidating when
you're...
can't
wait to go visit Bubbles.
Yeah, but her favorite thing is to pretty much use humans as her toys. And that elephant, believe it or not, she was so smart that you'd swim away from her, and she'd grab your foot with her trunk and lift you up and put her on her head, stand up in the water, and really prompt you to jump off of her head, dive in, and she literally, I was a big dog. I was a human dog toy.
That's great.
To Bubbles, or elephant toy, I should say.
So tell us a little bit about, you have this this show. It's Animal Exploration, nationally syndicated television show.
Yeah.
You've talked about your guest appearances, but tell us about the show itself.
The show itself, we started that, and in fact, we actually stopped production working on that series a few years ago, but we did so many episodes over the years that, it's been in syndication since 2007.
I bet people still, they Google it, they go to YouTube, they see little clips.
Well, and it still airs. Like, it's amazing. That's what's nice about syndication is, like, you almost can live in, just in perpetuity.
As they say, yeah.
Like any day of the week, you can probably turn on and find a Seinfeld episode you saw a million times, and that's kind of what has happened with Animal Exploration. It airs, it's been airing on ABC stations throughout the country, and it's actually distributed as well in 12 other foreign countries, too. So it's neat to get an email from, like, someone in, like, Taiwan or someone in Russia or even in some of these weird places about, learning something that they saw on Animal Exploration in a completely different country. But the genesis of that show really came about back, like I said, in 2004 through 2006. I was running a zoo in upstate New York called the Binghamton Zoo, and at the time I was actually the youngest zoo director in the country. And my charge was to kind of rebuild this old zoo. The zoo was built in 1875, very similar to our Buffalo Zoo.
Okay.
And how Donna Fernandez here just really has rebuilt the zoo over the past 15 years. And if you've had an opportunity to visit it now we have one of the most premier zoos in the country right here in our own backyard. Yeah. And that was kind of, when I was at Binghamton, I wanted to kind of do that as well, where, the zoo was built in 1875, and there literally there was a lion house there that was built in 1875, in which back in the day, this is back in the 50s, gangsters actually used to throw people to the lions. Mobsters, like New York City mobsters, would travel the 2.5 hours and throw people to the lions at the zoo. It was, the history of this place was insane. But
that's an amazing story.
Yeah, but it was like, so I'm running the zoo. I'm 25 years old. I'm half the age of anyone else that's working there, and it was really fun. I got to really work on some great conservation problems. It was almost like rebuild my zoo. We were like building new enclosures, raising money. I was still able to go to, at the time I was doing a lot of correspondence work for the Today Show and doing more like, just kind of being like that Jack Hanna kind of person for this particular zoo. I had the opportunity to come back and work on, developing animal exploration. So we started doing that, and it's been great. I mean, we started out, it's like having a globe or a map and being like, all right, where are we going to go? And I basically take a dart, and I go, we're going to the Everglades. So we went to the Everglades, and that was our pilot episode, was filming alligators jumping off of big airboats and finding alligators in Florida. It was
That's nuts.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then we traveled everywhere, and we did over 50 episodes.
We've spent so much time looking back. We're sitting in this beautiful, beautiful establishment, and I was thinking maybe we could take a look ahead. I know one of your business partners here. Do you think we could bring her in for the last part of the podcast?
Sure, absolutely. I'll go get Jen now, and we can talk about this. One of my little side projects that is kind of keeping me. I feel is like kind of like a fun business, but also it's like kind of my it's my little piece of Buffalo that I have. And,
absolutely. Well, stay tuned. We're going to go grab her, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back. We're here with Jarod Miller and Jen Keppard.
Yeah, welcome, guys.
Thanks.
We have a new visitor to our podcast today.
Yeah, we're looking ahead to the future. And I know, Jarod, we spent a lot of time talking about the past, but one of the things people love to hear about is kind of what's currently exciting you. And Jen, you're involved with that. So take it away, guys. What's going on lately?
Jen, by the way, is a partner, marketing manager, and our bartender today.
Yeah, she wears a lot of hats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jen, what's going on with this business? We know we're here at the Tap House today, downtown Buffalo. Great location, by the way.
Amazing location, yeah. There's a lot happening in the city, which is probably the best part right now. There's new Delaware North building, which just opened up. And
directly across the street.
Directly across the street.
Nice location, guys.
Yeah. And then we also have the Westin Hotel that's scheduled to open next year. And then we also have a new hotel opening another block over, which is the Curtis. So there's a lot going on downtown. There's a lot with Canal Side, just a lot more people downtown, a lot more traffic. We got the hockey plexes downtown now. It's really, really great, yeah.
Yeah, well, tell the listeners, how did you and Jarod kind of come together to become basically entrepreneurs together?
I can start that off. Well, really, it's. I mean, you might ask yourself, like, what business does a zoologist have opening a bar?
There's a lot of small business owners out there that are wondering the same thing.
And I think Jen's, experiencing that too. It's something where when I first looked into it, I was always looking. Like I said, and even to this day, a lot of travel and a lot of, and I really don't have a lot of income source here in my favorite city. Like, this is my hometown. Yeah. This is where I chose to buy a house 7 years ago. I live here, but, I do my work in California and New York and wherever, but I wanted something that, a little piece of Buffalo. And about 4 years ago, I saw this vacant space, and like Jen said, the location
It's amazing,
is amazing. And and it's been a pub for decades, even more. This building, believe it or not, was built in the early 1900s. Even 4 years ago, I saw that beginning of that resurgence. Like Jen said, look at all the growth that's going on, both economically, just even the vibe here. Like,
it's really a key time.
Yeah.
There's not a better time to come in, especially like kind of at the age that we're at too. So for me, like, it was a no-brainer to come in.
Yeah. What, 24?
Oh, thank you so much. No, I won't actually disclose my age, but thank you.
A lady never tells, Bill.
A lady never tells.
And a gentleman never asks.
I guessed. I didn't ask.
All right, last time.
And and it is a work in progress. I mean, this literally was it needed a lot of work. Like, it needed a lot of rehab, and this has just been the fun of it. This has been a journey, not a destination yet. And but we've created a beautiful place here. And Jen can explain to speak to this a little bit better. Is what's amazing is where our location is near all the hotels, so close to the falls. We're bringing a piece of that, of what I've experienced in foreign countries, to people that visit our city of Buffalo.
We have such a huge international group that comes in.
Well, hey, let me jump in right here, because I feel the same way you did. When I'm in New York City and walking around,
right.
I want to get back to Bill and say, hey, what can we do with this podcast? Who can we interview? What do we need to sound like so that people all over the world, when they're visiting Buffalo from Tampa, they're flying in from San Diego, from San Francisco, what type of podcast do they want to listen to? It sounds like you are trying to do the same thing with this place.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We're spot on. Let me start by saying the first thing about this bar is that I was a patron before I was an owner. So I seek that type of place out. I've been to China, I've been to Beijing, and I look for a damn pub. That's all I want. I just want to settle down, sit down, have a beer, and it's got, the brick, the woodwork, awesome lighting, and it's just a beautiful old pub.
Plus 30 drafts of craft beer, too, doesn't hurt either.
It does help.
A full liquor.
It does help, yeah.
And the best wings, I must say, the best wings in Buffalo. That's a bold statement, I would say.
Statement.
It's a hugely bold statement, but it's 100% accurate.
Yeah.
Well, I was in New York last weekend, and I was walking around. I was trying to find a place to go with the wife, and I got to tell you, not one place had decent craft beer. I looked it up online, and there's so many places sometimes in major cities that you're overwhelmed. So you got to trust reviews, you got to trust word of mouth, you got to go to that local paper, see what they say. So just to have some really good beer on is going to bring people in, especially from all over.
And what's beautiful about that, there's so many new breweries in downtown Buffalo right now. You can go visit the brewery, but we have all those beers here. So if you want to taste a bunch of different locally brewed beers, we have that all here, and the best wings.
And we literally, at the time too, we kind of gave a lot of those beers their first outlet, like Hamburg Brewery. We're one of the first locations started selling their beer back when they were just selling stuff out of the back of their cars. But what's amazing is, how this place has transformed is from this. And like I said before, you asked about what influences and people around you. Really, it's the people that make this place. Like, again, I walked into this with starry eyes and just like, okay, I'm going to do this, scared out of my mind. I'm still scared out of my mind doing this, but it's not an easy business. But what it was is, I came in, I surround myself with great people. I ran this place for a couple of years alone, and, in addition to traveling and everything else. And then we had a bartender that was helping me out that he has 20 years of experience managing bars. He actually managed the Croc Bar across the street for many years. He came on as my first partner. Then about a year ago, we had the opportunity to purchase the entire building. And Jen brings a lot to the table.
Great move.
And she brings a lot to the
really
table
exciting.
in the fact that not only can she help us build this business, and she was an marketing exec over at New Era and was a patron of ours for over a year or two before.
Got a little story to tell too,
And I won't tell your whole story, Jen. You can do that. But Jen, so there's three of us now that operate the bar, and the three of us are going to take this building and make it not only a little nest egg for us, but take this place and make it a great place for people to visit from out of town. We're going to have apartments upstairs. We're talking about developing some unique business suites for we have 500 employees for Delaware North. They got to have people from out of town visiting probably every night of the week. They could come here early or even stay upstairs in a fully furnished suite. And if you're a businessman anywhere in the world, wouldn't you want to be
directly
above a bar that's open till 4 a.m. I mean,
especially a place like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just think that people find it really, really comfortable here, and that's why I originally gravitated towards it. We brought our crew over from New Era, and we just had a great time in the bar, and I actually ran into Jarod at a New Era Christmas party, and we were friends for years, and I had no idea that he owned this bar. I knew that he owned a bar, but I didn't know it was this bar, and I was already a patron here. So I'm just like, I know you. He's like, no, you don't. I'm like, yes, I do.
That's why I needed a marketing person, because I love talking about animals, and I love talking about and that's where my excitement is. But I am probably the most unlikely bar owner. I don't, I'm just not into that scene of being that, that bar. So really, most of the patrons that come here think I'm like a handyman because I'm here fixing something, or they think I hang out here all the time or whatever.
He's one of the regulars.
Right, but...
so in about 5 years from now, will you expect this to be full-functioning suites upstairs?
Absolutely.
Anything else?
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, we want to develop more. We have a big back patio. We want to extend the bar.
We really have the opportunity to have the best beer garden, and we have a wonderful back patio that's so underutilized, and people really don't know that it's there. They don't expect that it's there because there's not property in this area that has a back patio like that, and we want to have a fantastic beer garden. It's comfortable now, but it's going to be great in 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay, and they have a website. It is taphousepubandgrill.com, and you can always find them on Facebook. I'm looking through a bunch of entertaining pictures from Christmas. It's also Tap House Pub and Grill on Facebook as well.
Yeah, if you look at our Facebook page, you can see pictures. We had a camel here for our Christmas party.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like, is that buffalo?
That's real life, yeah.
I think it was neat to see the camel standing in front of the Delaware North building in front of our place.
And then we were lucky enough, too, to have the guys in from Bar Rescue, and we had the best flair bartender in the world come in and do fire tricks for us. It was awesome. We almost set the buffalo on fire, but
I wanted to ask you about that. You weren't featured on an episode. They were just here.
We were entertaining them.
Here's what the best part. Okay, for your listeners that are familiar with Bar Rescue, again, that's a great point. We don't want to be known by Bar Rescue as being like, Bar Rescue is all about bars that aren't doing it. But the most satisfying thing that we experienced was that they were in town for the disco, the big annual fundraiser.
Bill and I were there.
You guys were there, and they were celebrity bartenders. They came in and they literally chose our place as their place to hang out, and they said nothing but great things. They talked. Literally, they had more fun with our place. And who else? These are the experts all around the country that rescue bars, and we provided them exactly what their recreation is. You couldn't get a better compliment than that.
No, that's something people need to know about. I don't know if you can post that on your website somewhere, but not as endorsed, but you know what I mean? Like Bar Rescue approved. That should be a new approved. Yeah. The Bar Rescue guys love us.
What do they do? Come back and yell at them?
No. No.
Well, they do love us, so that's cool.
We always like to end by looking kind of back ahead all at the same time and giving some people who are on the elliptical right now, they're driving in their car, they get done with this episode, they get done with their workout, they get out of that long commute, and they go, you know what, I'm gonna try to take that first step. Maybe it's as an animal expert, maybe it's as an entrepreneur, a small business owner, maybe you can both speak a little bit to that. What advice would you say to somebody who is just starting out? Maybe, for example, you guys had something that was holding you back from taking that first step, what do you think?
I could speak to that right away, and really in anything, and especially in small business, don't be afraid. It is scary. It is. It's a big time commitment. It's a big financial commitment, and there's a lot of sleepless nights, especially when you first get into it. But my two pieces of advice would be, it sounds so cliche, but you can't give up, for one. No matter how bad of a day is, no matter what happens, you can't give up, and you see things through. And the other thing is, which I found, and this has always been my philosophy, is surround yourself with people that are gonna contribute to your cause rather than detract from it.
I like that.
Surround yourself. Right now, the three of us own this bar, and eventually we're going to be developers in Buffalo pretty soon. And what's going to be great, and I'm a TV zoologist, Jen's a marketing executive, our third partner, Sean, is a school teacher, and we all bring each of our elements to this. But I look at Jen, she's a powerful woman here in Buffalo now, and we bring something so different, and that entrepreneurial spirit, if once you get it or attain it, just go with it, and nothing's gonna happen. It's like, whatever, another day, another dollar, and in some cases not $1. So, but or you lose $1, but
and you just got to jump into it and keep moving forward. I think that's one of the biggest things. You keep moving forward, and you got to be there, and you got to work out your kinks, and you get through it eventually. But it's just keeping a positive attitude and stay flexible, and everything will eventually work out.
I think that was good advice. Jen specifically, was the only thing holding you back from maybe quitting that full-time, amazing job as a marketing executive to say, I'm going to, in 5 short years, 10 short years, however long the timeline is, become a developer here in Buffalo?
Well, what's interesting about that, I was in a break between jobs, and then this opportunity presented itself, and I'm like, this couldn't be more perfect. I've always wanted to do this since I was a kid. I worked in the food service industries when I was a young woman going through school, and it's a beautiful situation for me, and I'm at the right age to do it. There's not a lot of fear. It's not that I'm like 70 years old and I'm like, oh, let's open a bar. We definitely have a good timing in my life. It's a good opportunity, and I'm a Buffalo resident, Buffalo native. We all are. So there's a lot of Buffalo pride there too. And I'm really happy to be downtown. I never thought in a million years to have this type of location with a business like this would ever happen for me. So it's perfect.
Absolutely. Well, Bill, this has been pretty amazing here. We started way back at the beginning with your story, Jarod. Janet, we thank you so much for kind of coming on board and kind of filling out the future look, because people are going to listen to this, they're going to stop by, they're going to be like, hey, is Jen or Jarod here? We just want to say hello.
Sean will be like, no, but I'm here.
But one more time for the listeners, where can they follow either of you individually or your business, online, social media?
Yeah, definitely check out our Tap House Pub and Grill page on Facebook. And then we also have a website that's Tap House Pub and Grill. It's very easy.
And I would say just stop in. I mean, stop by. I mean, you can look at us online, but enjoy. Have some.
Come see a camel.
Yeah. No, camel just once a year.
This whole interview has been. It's been great. I think we're going to draw in some people that Jarod might know you from television, but all of a sudden, what they're going to realize is when they come to Buffalo, they need to come here, because this is a great place. You guys are running a great business. I want to thank you for doing the interview, Bill.
Yep. Thank you very much, guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been another fantastic episode of Guys Telling Stories. We hope you enjoyed it. As always, I'm Rich Douglas.
I'm Bill Easton.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.